Welcome to episode number 16 of the Phillies Fan Podcast here on Big Fan Sports. I'm your host, Jaden Harper. The Phillies get set for game one of their 3-game series today against the Chicago Cubs in Wrigley Field. Today's game one starts at 8 o'clock. It's on TBS and NBC Sports Philadelphia. Should be a good one. Obviously, have Michael Mercado on the mound for the Phillies against Hayden Wesneski of the Chicago Cubs. But before we get into the pitching matchup and matchups to look for throughout the series, I do want to remind you I'll be live tomorrow night for Game 2 of the 3-game series between the Phillies and the Cubs. And it should be an even better one than today. You have Zach Wheeler on the mound for the Phillies against Shota Imanaga for the Chicago Cubs. So make sure to check that one out right here on Big Fan Sports. Michael Mercado is making his first major league start of his career today against the Cubs in Wrigley Field. He made his major league debut last Monday in relief of Aaron Nola against the Detroit Tigers. Was very solid. One scoreless inning, very good for the Phillies in their win. Hasn't pitched since and will be taking over for Spencer Turnbull in the rotation. Turnbull obviously with his injury, so tonight will be Mercado's first start in the major leagues. In AAA this season, he has a 1.71 ERA in 14 games. He started in 10 of those games, has a 1-1 record. His opponents in AAA were hitting a 189 against him in 47 innings. So hopefully Mercado can come through for the Phillies. Obviously, they need a big start out of him. Turnbull injured, Walker injured. They can't really afford another pitching injury because they really don't have the depth when it comes to starting pitching to manage that. Obviously, this whole year, it's been next man up for the Phillies. Next man up, next man up. The Phillies really have to be next man up here in the pitching rotation over these next couple of weeks. Obviously, Mercado will get a start on Sunday, realistically, if he does well tonight against the Cubs. And then he would start against Oakland. So a lot weighing right now on the Phillies and Michael Mercado as he goes into his first major league start against the Chicago Cubs tonight. One man who's been a Cubs killer in his career is Nick Castellanos. He played for the Cubs for about 2 months after the 2019 trade deadline, but when his time with the Tigers, the Reds, and now the Phillies, he has absolutely crushed the Cubs. In his career against Chicago, 10 home runs, 32 RBIs, 897 OPS, and 309 batting average in 45 games. This season, though, he's getting back to form and getting a little hot. His last 30 games, a 281 average, 5 home runs, 20 RBIs, and an 827 OPS. He's been getting hot for the Phillies at a time that they need it. No Schwarber, no Harper. Last year, Castellanos was a big force. The reason why the Phillies really made a great push in June and the first half of the season. He was an all-star last year. Now he's back. He's trying to get back to form for the last 30 games. He's been showing that he had a great June. Now looking for that to stretch over to July and hopefully get the Phillies in the win column in game one of this series tonight. Man who's been a Phillies killer on the Cubs is Christopher Burrell. He's having a tough season when it comes to his average at OPS. He's batting a 198 on the season, has a sub-700 OPS. He does have 15 home runs and 45 RBIs on the season. But against the Phillies, he has killed them. Last season, in his career against the Phillies, 5 home runs, 13 RBIs, a 372 average, a 1.275 OPS, which is the third highest against any team in his major league career. And that is only in about 13 games for Morel. He hasn't really been able to have that many opportunities to face the Phillies, but when he has, he's made a lot of damage against Philadelphia. He's looking to do some more tonight. Hopefully, he will not for the Phillies' sake and try to get back in the win column tonight for the Phillies. The Cubs have been struggling this season. They have been the worst team in the National League since May 1st, and they only have the better record than the Rockies and the Marlins in the National League. But which makes it even more interesting that the Phillies are the betting underdogs tonight, even though ESPN gives them a 53% chance to win tonight's game against the Cubs. Could be because of Michael Mercado making his first major league start, but it really won't matter when you look at the Phillies bullpen and look at their lineup tonight. This still stacked, and Chicago has been struggling. They struggle to get runs on the board. They struggle in a lot of categories. They were first in the National League Central a couple weeks ago. Now they're 11 games back in the Central. So for the Cubs, they're looking for this series to kick off their June and to heat up. The Phillies looking to stay hot, still have the best record in baseball by 2 games now, with Cleveland and Baltimore both losing this past Sunday. So the Phillies still have the best record in baseball. They're going into this series. They're going into July with the best record in baseball, which after that first series, you wouldn't have expected that. But again, tonight, 8:05 on TBS and NBC Sports Philadelphia, the Phillies and the Cubs. And I will be live tomorrow night for Game 2 of the series, so make sure to check that out as well. Thank you for watching episode number 16 of the Phillies Fan Podcast here on Big Fan Sports, and I'll see you next time.